If you've got a question, the voices of resin are here. Oh, PlastChicks.
PlastChicks is an SPE sponsored podcast.
Hello, how are you?
That was enough of a delay. We're back recording episodes. We just, sent out our last live episode. So we're so used to being in person now that we have to go back to recording. But really only for a hot minute. And then we will probably be back to recording some live episodes for next year and next season. And so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and if you're watching us on SPE's YouTube channel, you'll see that we have some mood lighting. It's kind of like PlastChicks, the witching. Like, I don't know. So we're recording this a week before Halloween, and
yes,
it's one of the few episodes that we're recording later on in the evening. So it's dark and we look very spooky. Lynzie has some spooky kind of lipstick on.
Spooky lipstick. I got bat earrings. I'm in all in. And actually, I literally said, let's not mess around because we have a really great guest. But I did have to tell my kid this week, he had a friend over and she tried to convince him that she put a spell on one of his stuffed animals and he was really upset. And I don't know if it was a great parenting move or not a great parenting move. I said, I'm a much more powerful witch. And so you don't have to worry about the stuffed animal because I am more powerful.
You are.
So I'm fully into the Halloween spirit right now. So anyway.
And with the fall also comes the start of school. And so we have a special episode today. Now we do occasionally have sponsors for our podcasts and some other projects that we're doing. So feel free to reach out to us if you're interested in podcast episodes and or some of the other projects that we're working on right now. But what we do with those funds is something very near and dear to our hearts, something that Lynzie initiated. But we started the PlastChicks Scholarship last academic year through the SPE Foundation. And it's a surprise scholarship. So really anybody who applies for an SPE scholarship through the foundation may come across our digital desks for review. But we have some, we just selected one scholar every year. And we have some fun guidelines, but which you might remember from our last scholarship winner episode. But we're so delighted today to have on our PlastChicks Scholar for the 2024-2025 academic year.
Yes. So this year we had a huge number of applicants come across our desk, like Mercedes was saying. We do have our own kind of internal and slightly leaked external criteria. And we take a look at these people with obviously all the help from the SPE Foundation. And we look at who kind of exemplifies what we, believe someone who is going to make a difference in the plastics industry is. And this year we have selected someone, and I will say her major, and you may say, come again, Lynzie, that doesn't make any sense, but it does make sense, and it makes perfect sense, and we will get to that. So this year we have awarded Tanisha Francis. She is a computer engineering major. She's a student. She is a student. Yes, that makes sense. That's why we're giving her a scholarship. She's a senior at Kettering University, and she is our 2024 PlastChicks Scholarship Winner. Hi, Tanisha.
Hi, I feel just so welcomed and excited to be here. The ambiance and just the energy on this call is just so radiating, and I'm so grateful to have been this year's applicant winner. But just already feeling so excited to be here. Thank you guys for that warm welcome.
Yeah, we're so excited.
We're so happy to have you. And we as we were trying to schedule this, it really definitely reflected how busy you are and all the activities that you do. I was traveling a lot. Lynzie, of course, busy too, but you were just as busy. You're just as busy, if not busier than both of us. So we really appreciate you making the time to chat with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I mentioned that you're a computer science or computer engineering student.
Yes.
So, and this is a PlastChicks scholarship, so we tend to lean pretty heavily into plastics. So we want to ask you,
But not necessarily, right? Because
but not necessarily.
because I wasn't a plastics engineering major. Yeah.
Exactly. And look at
Right. So we
what
definitely
we
look
got
in
going on.
different fields.
It don't have to start off as plastics. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I can trick everyone into being into plastics as early as possible, I'm in. But I can't do that to everyone. I don't have enough witchy powers, as I have already decided. So, other avenues are fine as long as you get to the right end goal. So as a student not studying a traditional plastics related degree, how did you become the president of your SPE student chapter?
So very funny story. And I think as he talked about like how there is a point where, yes, you might think like when you hear, oh, a plastics scholarship, a plastics organization, a plastics job, you think, okay, chemical, like some type of traditional career in that path. But as we see today, like as technology is continuing to advance, there's an increasing need for being able to apply some of these technological skills to whatever industry. And it just so happened that I had the opportunity to be able to see opportunities where I can apply that within the plastic industry. So in terms of how I ended up being the SPE chapter president for my Kettering chapter is, firstly, we originally had a chapter before COVID, and I started university like in the latter part of COVID. So before COVID, there was
What a
a,
rough beginning.
yeah, it was not for the weak. But started off there with like seeing a little bit of COVID, but speed was just not there. But I've heard from people who talked about the organization and how beneficial it is, and in terms of how well supported the organization gives, or how much support our organization gives for their college students, and their the community service and all these amazing things that the organization does. After all, the mission speaks of that, inspiring plastic professionals. And just hearing about how well the organization does it and a various opportunity, in my junior year going into senior year, I was like, no, we need to have a chapter here on campus. Like, we need to get it restarted. We need to have our students be able to benefit from this opportunity to meet so many professionals and to just learn more about what kind of opportunities is out there within the plastic field. So with that, I kind of reached out to the head of our department for chemical engineering. I was like, hey, I know you don't know me because you've probably never seen me before, but can we restart this club? And she was just such a wonderful lady who was so willing to work with me and to help me to get it kind of started and revived, and got students back engaged and excited to learn, something new. So definitely a funny story, but it all makes sense.
Well, I love that. I love that the kind of rumor was out there that an SPE student chapter is like well supported. Like, that's the vibe I want going out in all the student chapters. If you are a student SPE member, like, welcome. You're gonna get supported. If you need something, like, come to us. We want to help you.
Right. Now, Tanisha, so you said that, of course, computer engineering, IT can be applied in many different categories, many different industries, right? What
Absolutely.
inspired your passion for the plastics industry so much that you were like, okay, we're going to get this specifically Society of Plastics Engineers, inspiring plastics professionals going for a student chapter? What was it about plastics?
For me, I think growing up in Jamaica, we had so many, or I was engaged in so many different opportunities that we were like, picking up plastic. They even had this slogan in Jamaica called "No Dirty Up Jamaica," and that just translates to "Don't Dirty Up the Country," right? And I grew up seeing so many different like initiatives in terms of recycling, which is of course just a fraction of what the plastics industry is all about. But I always like gravitated to opportunities like those. And then I ended up, my first co-op while I was while I was in school was working within a plant. And in that plant, they had an injection molding section. And on my first
Love
day,
me
like
some
that first
injection
week,
molding.
that first week, my manager, kind of gave me a little tour of the entire plant and was like, okay, this is where they do this. And he was explaining like the different problems that they have in terms of wastage, and like showing me how the resin is just being wasted, or people are causing the parts to melt and then have to wait, like just so many different problems. I was like, no, we need to come up with a solution, like trying to think like, how can we come up with a solution to kind of help streamline that wastage. So just like seeing that firsthand, up close and personal, up close and personal, and then to be able to think of how can I, kind of use my background, use just problem solving skills to apply to help with the cutting down of the usage that the wastage that we had on that line. So it was really just that, like, coupled with just the past recycling, but then seeing plastics in a whole other light, like, wow, we literally use plastics for everything. Like that really opened my eyes to realize like plastics is literally every single where, like the table that I am at right now has plastic. You don't really think about it, but
Right.
literally every single thing, so it really just kind of opened up for me in terms of like seeing how integrated plastic is in everything, and not just that, wanted like kind of opened up that hunger to want to learn more, right? Because I wasn't getting it in the classroom, so I wanted a space where I could learn more. And I went on from there to like learn about like thermoforming and just so many other like really impressive stuff, which it's just so
Injection molding is
fascinating
a
to me.
gateway drug. You see one injection molding machine and you're hooked. You're
Yes.
thermoforming.
It's so true. It's so true.
I love that you say that it's your background that kind of really like led you to kind of see these problems with stuff not being streamlined, because I never thought of myself as like an engineer when I was like younger, but as an engineer now, I see it as like, this is going to be a really weird statement. It's not that hard. Like it's taking stuff. It is hard. So that's like, yes, there's a whole other, but like at the bare bones of it, it's taking problems and solving it and just learning to think about it. And like you saying that, like you used what was kind of ingrained in you in your youth to see that in like a plant is exactly the connection that I feel like so many people don't get to get that aha moment. I think that's just like, so beautiful. I want to like bottle it and sell it to other people.
It is.
So, you obviously are studying computer engineering. We've made a big deal about it already. Where do you see that kind of intersecting with the plastics industry?
Yeah, so for me, I think like this background that I have in terms of both hardware and software does have a big value to add to the plastic industry in terms of a lot of simulation, helping with like developing systems that will help to like reduce the amount of plastics that we do have to waste. So like we think about all these various machines, some of these machines I've seen and I've worked with, and I'm not the best and most highly accredited plastics engineer person, but just from the little bit I've seen, there are so many different software that kind of run these different machinery, and for some of them, it's a little bit of trial and error for the ones that I've seen, where it's like, okay, you have to run this, and then, oh, it doesn't work, so now let's like redo this. And so just being able to kind of add to that advancement in terms of whether that be like simulation and developing like coding solutions, software solutions to just kind of help streamline that process a lot more. I'm not quite sure if I'll go in injection molding side, thermoforming, or wherever, but like definitely it would be really cool to be able to have an opportunity to apply some of that background and my technical skills in terms of that problem solving, as we talked about as well. Like that would be really cool.
Clearly, we need to get you. I mean, this feels like to anyone in simulation, like the Autodesk Moldex 3D people, any of those people that are listening right now are like, yeah, like she gets it. Like right now, they're just cheering you on. They're like, guys, this is not a sponsored episode, but we are willing to let you sponsor this episode.
So, Tanisha, as you've said that you are currently president of the SPE Student Chapter at Kettering. You have also been involved in National Society of Black Engineers. You seem to be a leader. That's one of the reasons why we chose you. And we hear that you are working on another project, mentoring high school students coming onto campus. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Firstly, thank you so much. And I think like one of my biggest honors in life or privileges that I have is just being able to serve. Like it's something that I really enjoy. I'm very passionate about it. And to be able to have these various opportunities to serve, especially young people, like I really like just, being around the young people. Like I had a meeting with the same group, and I was telling them, oh yes, I'm so hip, I'm so hype. And of course they're laughing at me as if I'm that much older than them. But, it's just always just such a good time, working with them. But for this group that I work with, it's a mentorship organization here in our community, and they're local high school students. I think there are around 34 students who are enrolled in the program. And we come out every other Saturday and we mentor them just to try to help to develop them holistically. So ever so often we'll have different meetings on like job preparedness. Like there's some of them who are trying to look for summer jobs or helping them with balancing SAT prep, like just so many different things that we talk about with them and just try to help to shadow and coach them as they continue to grow. But one of the things that I really want to do with them, as you alluded to, is this project, to be able to, and this project is, there is an injection molding machine on our campus.
Love.
And I want to be able to have them get a little experience with that machine, get a little bit of a tester to kind of see what it's like, what all goes into it. And this is actually an idea that Mark Richardson, I kind of was inspired by him because I was at a SPE conference, of course, and I met him, and it just so happened that he worked at Kettering, and it was just so like, what, like a Spider-Man moment, like why do you have on the same shirt? Like, what is that? Like it was just really cool. And he was just telling me again about like how SPE used to be before COVID. And he was telling me how they, collected plastics one time, like plastic bottles, then they shredded it, cleaned it, then used that as the resin or the source for using the injection molding, and they created like plates and cups. And that was just so like, oh no, I want my kids that I mentor to experience this. Like, this is just so cool, So right now we have been planning it and just trying to see how we can kind of get that off the ground, getting all the permissions and, logistics and everything kind of checked off.
Well, I know we're not like technically networking here, but I was part of that project just from a connections standpoint, because Penn State near me actually made those molds for that project that Mark was talking about. So if you need any help like that, I am more than happy to
please, thank you. That's so good to know.
To make molds or help you with whatever you need, because I love that kind of stuff. And I know
it's a big industry, but a small world.
Yes, exactly. It really is. Like, it's just so incredible how many people are within this industry, but also to how supportive everyone is. Like, like I've just like the conferences I've went to, the meetings, and just being a part of this connection, has been a great privilege, because even though I might not necessarily can understand every single thing, some of the conversations goes over my head because I'm not, the best or the most plastic engineer aware, but I do have some background or experience with it. But even when I'm there in those conversations, like everybody's just so welcoming and just like, yes, like you can do this, like go girl. I'm like,
yes, that is what you should always be experiencing. And if you are not, we will fight them. or use our witch power.
Very true.
Again, if I say it enough times, people are gonna walk away from this episode being like, "Is she serious?" I'm not sure. It's fine.
I know they're gonna be like, if they watch this, they're gonna be like, does Mercedes ever eat? Like, does she have a body anymore? Or is she just like a floating
No.
head in the darkness? Like
Due to witch powers. Due to
I
witch
don't know what's
powers.
going on with my camera.
Don't worry about it.
It's witch powers.
So I know we only have you for a few more minutes, but one question we want to ask you is, you know, being a non-traditional plastics involved person, what's some advice you would give to others that maybe don't see themselves as someone that fits in the plastics industry? You know, you just mentioned everything you've seen so far has been very welcoming, but what's some advice you would give them? And they're like, I don't think that's for me.
Yeah, that's such a great question. And, I do believe that I like this one quote that I can apply to my life. It's like, knock on every door until one opens. And the idea from that for me is just like, try new opportunities, like try different things. Like, even though you might have, your mindset on, and for me, I personally was in the same boat too. I was like, I want to be a doctor. Of course, studying computer engineering, that's nowhere near being a doctor.
Close.
But like, there's just so many things that, like, there's this saying that you can be anything you want to be, and of course there's responsibilities and pressures with that as well, but it is true. So for someone who might be unsure, like, my degree doesn't really align with plastics, so it's not for me, I would want to beg you to defer, and like, I'd beg to differ and encourage you to give it a try. The most that can happen is you're proven right and it's not for you, but the even better thing that can happen is you find out it's the place for you, So definitely, I think just giving it a try, like trying new opportunities, just even if it's just going to one of the meetings or and SPE is so incredible in terms of supporting their collegiate members, that the membership is free for college students. So you can become a member for free and just get those notifications of the conferences or workshops or, different events that might be going on in your area. And even if it's just to go one day and just kind of sit in, there's a wealth of knowledge to be gotten. And I think like you can't go wrong with learning something new. So give it a try, give it a chance. The worst that can happen is you learn something new.
Yeah. I think
I
that's
love that. And
really
I
good.
do have to say, I want to mention that knock on every door until one opens. It reminds me, we had a couple years ago, we had the great grandson of Leo Bakeland on the podcast. And Lynzie, it reminded me of the story. I'm not sure if it was from our interview or if it was from that documentary, but it was talking about how Leo Bakeland, when he was, unbeknownst to him, figuring out Bakelite, right, the first fully synthetic polymer, it compared it to like pushing on all these different places of a wall, trying every little variation until he finally had one breakthrough. But it was like, that was it. And my head immediately went there. So I love that. Knock on every door until one opens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Tanisha Francis, thank you so much for joining us today. Go ahead, Lynzie. I have some weird delay.
You're on a little bit of a delay. It's okay. We've been working with it. No, go ahead, Mercedes. You can close us out.
Oh, Tanisha, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me.
We hope we'll be meeting you at
Yes.
we hope we'll meet you at the next Antec, possibly.
Yes, God's willing, I'll be there.
Okay, we're looking forward to it. We love meetups and we love chaotic events. We cause the chaos. The events.
That's us. Yeah. Look for chaos, and then you'll see at least one of us.
Yeah. Look for people laughing and having a good time. That'll
be us. Yeah.
So thank you so much. Have a great time at your conference that you're at right now, and congratulations. Thank you for being amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This scholarship really means a lot. Thank you guys. Thank you.